Thank you.
So, in a way to make it simple, in the things that in our control, in the realm of the spirit, I would even argue, we can continue. We can make like free choice, if we can call it free choice. To struggle with the many is like losing time. To struggle with the many, to convince people. There is no, to go to the temporal and influence people, you know. It depends basically on the development. It's not the world development is not good in this manner, but it's about the recognition of the individual. So with people that are already in the path of searching, there is how do you say, a chance to open a conversation. Because there is no how do you say, a cause to open discussions with people who are sitting in their comfort. They're already so diffused with the comfort and the frame that they build around their lives and the fences for decades. So it's better to turn and to continue with the spirit. I think it's clear, Fernando, what I was trying to say.
Yes, and it is a deep and interesting topic. And I thank you, Andrea, for bringing the idea behind Stoicism, the central point. Because we have in the other hand, sometimes just to bring one idea more, that we do not have choice, and
Yes.
But in fact we have a range idea of choice that we can do, and to care only with what we can do, like Andre just said about the Stoicism. Right.
Yes.
What is in our hand, in our reach.
In our reach, and we can do. Yes. Yes. And this is in a way that what we can do, or in our reach, is like the upper triangle. So we can always go forward and to the future. But with the structure of life here, how institutions work, politics, the schedule, buses of train, all of this, how school works, and so administration, we cannot do much. We just move through it.
Right. So in Stoicism, for example, they would say the only thing that we control is our will. We can basically choose what we want and what we don't want. So if we want things that we can't have, we're going to be upset. And if we don't want things that we do have or that are coming to us, well, we're also going to be upset. So the key, in a very simplistic, boiled down way, would be to want those things that we can actually have. And not to want those things that are happening to us anyway.
It's quite simple. Baal Shem Tov used to say similar thing, that what we need is what we already have, and what we don't need is what we don't have at the moment. But everything is good. What we have and what we don't have at the moment. Everything works for the good. Any combination.
About this topic of slavery as well,
Yes.
If I may ask one new question, just to open a little bit the vessel, like you said once. Felipe said about the kings yesterday, the 37 kings, if I remember.
Yes, 31.
31, yes, Thank you. If you could say something about this, or open an idea about what the traditions say about these kings.
I can open the chapter. 1 second. Those are the kings of Canaan that Joshua was supposed to fight, but to go through them in order that people could inherit the promised land. But this is not historical event. It is something which is happening in us all the time. 1 second. 1 second, I'll find it. Because I would like to have also the names of the king and to explain through the names. Let's see. Where is it? I'm trying to find the location of the verse. So there's like a lot. It speaks, I mean, it's basically about chapters 1 to 12 in the book of Joshua. So it speaks about many chapters. Let's see. Let's see. It's really pretty long, but there is a very famous king called Achshaf. According to this name, I can locate the chapter. Achshaf, Melech Achshaf. This is Joshua 12:20. So this is Joshua 12:20. Yes, this is it. I can put a link, but
I got it. Yes, I got it.
Yes, and you see, if you can see, chapter 12 starts with, and now these are the kings of the land whom the children of Israel smote. Yes, and so we have the first king in verse 2, Sihon Melech HaEmori, the king of the Amorites who sits in Heshbon. So every name here of every king symbolize a quality, inner quality inside of us. Yes, so we have Sihon Melech HaEmori Yoshev b'Heshbon. Heshbon is a city. What does it mean, Heshbon? Calculation in Hebrew. Calculation. So he has to, Joshua, he has to smote the king who sits in, this is already, I think, in the times of Moses and so. But let's look into verse 9, because this is specifically in the land of Canaan. Do you see verse 9?
Yes.
The king of Jericho. So he is fighting and he is winning. Who is the king of Jericho in us? Melech Yericho Echad. The king of Jericho, what? So we have to find out what does it mean, Jericho, in terms of letters, in terms of numbers, in terms of quality, and we have to locate this inside of us. Melech Ha'ai, the king of the eye, which is sitting to the side or next to Bet El, one king, Echad. King of Jerusalem, one. King of Hebron, one. King of Yarmut, and so on. There's a list of 31 kings that each one has a domain or foot, and Joshua, in a way, symbolizes the spirit. And only the spirit can do this. can remove those qualities and leave empty space for the divine to be. This is the meaning of the words that Joshua handles. Does it make any sense?
Yes, I'm wondering what each king means. Just
We have to open book.
yes, I know there is a lot. I know there is a lot, but
It will take a
if you
few
could,
years. Yes.
just one example or something.
Yes, there is Achshav. There is a king Achshav that he makes like witchcrafts. Like sometimes we are tending to go to find like easy solutions in life. 1 second, Achshav Melech Gat. Let me find this because I was writing about this. 1 second, Achshav, Achshav. Yes, Melech Achshav. In verse 20, there is a king that he is governing a place or a region called Achshav. Achshav comes from Kishuf. Kishuf is magic. Sometimes when people are crossing certain, let's say, junctions in their life, they don't know what to do. So they go to fortune and the people who reads in cards, in sticks, in stones. There are so many ways to read, so to speak, the future or the present. And instead of dealing with what is coming. So this is an example for one king. King, he governs in each and every one of us that we would like to take the easy path sometimes. Comes from Kishuf. Kishuf is a magic, but also in Kashafa, in Arabic, it means reveal. We always look for solutions in the revealed, in the temporal. We in the short frequency path. We don't look for the higher or for the eternal. So in a way, the king of Akshav stands against the eternal. Does it make any sense?
Yes, it's interesting that Kashaf, the root
Mm-hmm.
of the letter magic, gives the gematria of 400, I think.
Yes, it's true. The 400. This is the far, you see? So you take the Aleph. Aleph stands for the one, and Kaf, Shin, and Fe stand for the 400. So you see, is the one who's pulling to the last end from the source, from the origin, from the one. So in our region where we live in, it's very common that people, when they have moments in their life, they go to coffee readers, card readers, sticks readers, who knows, reading in the eye radiology, reading in the foot, all kinds of reading in fruits and vegetables, who knows. Good afternoon, Felipe. Good morning. Your microphone is working. Fernando was mentioning. Hello.
Shalom.
Hello. Shalom.
I was
Yeah.
listening in the PC, but it don't appears to you when I'm not in the mobile. So now I went to the mobile, but I'm sure of low battery. So, but yes, shalom. Thank you. I was listening to the answer about Joshua as well.
Thank you for your question.
Yes.
Thank you for your question.
Aurora is saying hi.
Hi. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Nice to
Speaking a
hear
lot.
you. So she will speak Hebrew, biblical Hebrew.
She is being trained in biblical Hebrew already. Thank you. Good morning. Good evening.
questions or thoughts?
Just something I was reading today in Vinrib, and I think it's related in some there is we can do some relations. He was speaking about the bones in skeleton and the flesh, meaning the 248 bones in human skeleton and the 365, I guess, is the rest of the number, which both complete 613 commandments. And it's interesting because he speaks about the skeleton being the male part, the and the the flesh being the female part.
Yeah.
And I was relating this skeleton with something that remains, sometimes. And now you were talking about some, if I may, sorcery and divination. I don't know the terms exactly, Eti, but reading the future, reading the present, and so on. And sometimes we see, in movies, people making this kind of things with the bones.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
and I guess the bones are something that tells us a story. It's like the Zahar, the
Mm-hmm.
the one who remembers. uh, I was relating the bones as the male part and the Zahar, and this was the link I've made. And it's just a non-linear thinking, non-linear thing.
It's very good because the Bible speaks about 365 Gidim, Shasa Gidim, 365 tendons relates to the masculine system, and 248 Evarim, organs, which related to the flesh, to the feminine. Gid, Gid, tendon, is a part that connects the bones to the muscles. Gid is also, if we add the letter mem to it, or before the word gid, which is a tendon, we add the letter mem to the gid, we get a magid, a magid. So the magid is the one who tells a story. So you can say, or you can ask, who tells a story? The magid. And who is the magid? Is the one who remembers.
Yes. Eti, if I understood well, you mentioned
Mhm.
the number 248 for the female part,
Mhm.
and in Vinrib he speaks the contrary. It is a complementation. You are mentioned. It's like opposite sides.
He speaks, I mean, because the Bible speaks what we are making, we speak about feminine and masculine as like biological, yes, but the the Bible speak in a way, in a cleaner way. The tendons are the white parts, yes, Loven from Lavan, the wisdom or the light or the essence, and 248 Evarim, organs, is the red part or the reddish part. the vessels. So we have light in a vessel. Does it make any sense?
It makes, yes, it.
Because some people tend to look at 248 as feminine, or 248 is the value of the word rechem, which is a womb. So a drop of a male can manifest only in the womb. The womb is a vessel to the drop. So there is a relation between light and vessel. Make any sense?
Yes, it. I was, what I was reading of Weinreb. He was taking the number 248 as the active commandments, the positive actions that
Yes.
that one should complete in his life, and the other number 365 as the negative commandments. And so he related the active and the passive, the bones as the active, the flesh as the passive, the and so on. And now, as I am understanding, you are bringing this 248 as the vessels for the light that comes from above. Is that correct?
There's another way to see it in a way that will not contradict what you were saying. The 248 mitzvot aseh, like what to do, so to speak, is the positive. It's just natural. This is the grace. Grace is like positive, mitzvot aseh. To donate charity, to help someone cross the street if you can't see it. This is it's natural flow. But mitzvot lo ta'aseh, not to do things, it is related to the masculine part. Because a person, I would say, if he educates himself, he will have the ability to resist certain things. Give you an example. The word insects, and Fernando can check the word insects, sheratzim. Can you check the value
Yes.
of sheratzim?
Yes.
Sheratzim, yes. So why do I say not to do certain things? A person has to have ability to resist things. And this is connected more to the masculine power in us to resist. Because the masculine part in us, the one who remembers, you could say it's the part or has to do with the spirit or with the individual sense that each and every one of us. Most people, if you put them in the mob or in the crowd or in the community, will act from, how do you call it, peer pressure. What people do, they will do. Because this is the power of the many. When people are conceived in big communities, it's almost impossible to resist to what the many are doing or the flow of the many. But the one who remembers, he can resist. This is why resistance and Weinreb speaks about it a lot. Resistance is not something external, that the person go outside to the street with a gun and resist something. This is not resistance. To resist, only the spirit is capable. And in general, this quality is associated when people read the Bible. It's, again, I don't want to go to those levels of masculine and feminine as biology's entities, but to say in general, the ability to resist comes from the power of the soul. 365 is the number of days in a solar year. The solar, sun, the fire is in a way parallel to the soul. So, and Gidim, the tendons, are associated with the masculine. From this perspective, of course, there are many, many more perspectives. So when Moses speaks in the desert and he says he speaks about 600,000, the men that are with me, Ragli, 600,000 Ragli. He speaks about the leg, the tree of life has one leg. And so he counts the men with him in the desert. 600,000. 600,000 Ragli, the people that I'm conceived with. And this is, he counts himself among men who have the spirit, the Vav. 600,000, if we take the zero outside, we're left with the six Vav and the spirit. Ragli, regel, one leg, not feet, leg. The tree of life is one leg. When we stand, when our 2 feet are combined together, we are like one pillar. And yes, when you go to a war, you count a man. You count not man biological, but the spirited one. So the spirited one can resist to injustice and to other things. Not everyone, even if he's a male biologically, can resist injustice. Yes, Fernando?
Just
Yes.
I saw that the Gematria gives us 358. It is right?
Sheratzim?
I think I thought that was Harakim.
Harakim insects. Okay, let's see. Sheratzim. 1 second. There's Weinreb. He called it Sheratzim. Let's see.
Oh,
how much Harakim? How much insect gave to you?
368. Like Nahash. Yes.
Like Nahash. Yes. 68. And Sheratzim is Sheratzim. 600. 640 Sheratzim, those because the Torah, just an example about resistance. Weinreb brings it in the book of Yonah. Sheratzim, those all kinds of insects which are running on the ground. Ants and all the family of those, name them in any language. The word Sheratzim, it means those who are running. She, that. Ratzim are running on the ground, insects to their families, cockroaches, people, they have completely, many books about them. So the value of Sheratzim, those who are running, like God blesses in Genesis, that the water will have this many insects, the Hebrew says insects, probably the English says something else. The value of Sheratzim is 640. 640 is the value of the word Shemesh. Shemesh. Shemesh is a sun. So one of the commandments of the Torah is not to eat insects. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Why, so to speak, what is the logic? Because in Asia, I heard once friends, they traveled into China, they were hungry, and this is what people, I don't want to speak about what people offer as a food on the street in China, but it has to do with insects, and let's not go into details. So why does the Torah, in a way, not command, I would not say command, but offers not to eat insects? Because when people eat insects, it has the value of 640. This is the value of the sun. When a person eats insect, he lower his resistance. There is a podcast about it. I think like 10 or 15 minutes I was speaking about the relations about between eating insects and reducing our ability to resist or to go with the spirit, speaking about it positively. Also, sheratzim, insects are bottom feeders. This is opposite to the spirit.
Sorry, could you repeat the last word, Zeti? The insects
They,
are.
they are bottom feeders. They like crawling on the ground, on the earth.
Yes, yes.
So when a person eats, speaking like naturally about things, not not with numbers, but simple logic is that a person becomes what he eats. So if people are eating all kinds of insects, they lower their lives to what they eat from what people nourishing themselves.
That's very interesting. Thank you. This symbolical aspects of the the nourishments. That's a topic for itself. I I I think this is very interesting, and I think about, for instance, the fishes with leather, leather skin,
Yes, yes, yes. It's
and
a very beautiful.
I don't know much what to think about it, but as far as I can wonder in symbolical manners, we can grasp some thoughts.
For instance, the Torah says to eat or to consume only fish that have scales and fins. Scales, you know what scales is? Um, you know what scales is?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes, and fins, you know what fins is?
yes.
Yes. So what is this idea to eat only fish that has scales and fins? Fish lives in the water, and the water, in a way, symbolizing the pleasures of life. And a fish that has both scales and fins he can reject the assimilation with the water because he has like an armor, like knights, knights in the Middle Ages. You
Yes,
see this? Yes, they have this armor from from metal that is like from scales that people could not harm them with swords or with
yes, yes,
yes, so there is protection. So in the same manner, the fish who has a scale and fins, with fins he can move, meaning he can move in water. He's not still, muddy. So the fins enables him a movement in the water, and the scales, kaskasim. The word kaskasim is very important in Hebrew because kaskas is like kufshin, kufshin. Kufshin is 100, 300, 100, 300, so 400, 400. He can reject the the pleasures of life. So if people read the Torah and they take or inspired what is from what is written in the Torah, the inspiration, I would call it, the recommendation is to consume a fish that can resist the passivity. He has fins, so he can move by its own. Plus, he has scales, he can resist pleasures. So, if a person nourishes himself from, let's say, active fish, so he eats it, and he also gets the qualities of the fish that he was eating. For instance, salmon fish has a scale and fins. So, and he also, yes, it's how do you say, he lives in cold water. And so what happens is when we eat, we are unifying. There is a unification, and Weinreb speaks about this a lot. There is a unification between a human and what he eats, and what he consumes as eating it. They become one. So if we eat a fish that has fins and scales, also we are nourished with the power of resistance of the fish. So to speak, the upper fish, because when we look at the zodiac, we have 12 signs, and one of them, the last one, is the fish. We have like two fishes, the upper fish and the down fish. So a person who consumes or eats fish that has scales and fins, he nourishes himself from the upper fish, the one who's connected, who rejected water and pleasures, and
Thank you so
basically
much.
chooses life. You're welcome.
That's so beautiful. It. Thank you.
You're welcome. Gail, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? I'm doing good. I'm learning so much. This is like changing my life. I appreciate being here.
You're most welcome. Can I ask you, shall I call you Gil or Jill? I'm not sure.
Um, uh, Jill, but
Jill. So Jill.
uh,
Jill. Thank you, Jill.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Jill and Et. If I may, about this topic,
Yes, yes.
if you could say a little more about this idea of the symbolic act,
Mm-hmm.
because in the beginning of this class you talked about magic, and it's
Yes,
interesting that in ancient times magic was related with the liver and with the blood, right? Usually,
yes,
when we read
yes.
stories, but it's interesting that the blood is the 44, is where the spirit had gone away. It's the matery, it's the manifestation. So the idea really showed to us that this kind of thing is related with the manifested, the multiplicity. And now you were talking about the importance of eating. What we eat
Mhm.
is what we relate to in the heavens. So I'm just wondering the importance of the symbolic act to make it real in the matter.
You asked about the symbolic act of eating?
Not only in eating, because we can
Mm.
light a candle or we
Yes,
can make a prayer in different positions also, or in different look into different orientations. So everything counts to make the symbolic act, to be in relationship with this archetype power, with this archetype energy, maybe.
the interesting Weinreb says that when we light a candle, after a while, the candle is burning, so the wax that we see in our eyes is like melting or disappearing. But when we notice this, that the life of the candles are being short in front of our eyes, the upper candle is growing. What we see here in time and space, like a candle which is burning and diminishing next to our eyes, in the eternal, the candle or the light of the candle is growing. It's the opposite picture. Just an example between the temporal and the eternal. Does it make any sense?
Yes, especially if you are conscious of this, you know. Thank you.
Weinberg speaks about, and I read it in the book of Cohen, his doctorate PhD work. He speaks about the letters. So in the Hebrew language, we have 22 simple letters. So the letter Aleph is the beginning of the alphabet. Its value is 1. So, and this is how it works, he speaks about. So the letter Aleph comes, and against the letter Aleph from the other side comes what? The letter Tav. And we continue. The letter Tav is the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and its value is 400. And we continue. After the letter Aleph comes the letter Bet. Its value is 2. But against it, on the other side of the spectrum, comes the letter Shin. The letter Shin is the 21st, second from the last, and Bet stands against Shin, or Shin against Bet. And this is how we build the code, another code in which we read the Bible, Etbash. What does it mean? Against every Aleph that we see in the scriptures or in the Hebrew books, we can put a Tav. Because Aleph is 1, Tav is the 400, the end, so to speak. Now, against every Bet, we can put a Shin, and so on. This is very, very interesting as a system, meaning not just what we see in our life or perceive in our senses exists, because in another realm comes a different, maybe sometimes opposite reality. In the book of Zohar, they speak about this a lot. They say the following: who in this life is a person with a lot of honor, and everybody gives him a lot of respect and has a reputation and money. In the world to come, he is very little, he is nothing. But a person who makes himself little or unimportant in this life, when people are measuring others with money, and so people who minimize themselves or their self-importance in this life, in the world of duality, the soul is rocketing high. Just an example. Questions?
It's just interesting, this code, Eti. And I was thinking about some words that we could make a relation. Some simple words. I don't know if you have any examples that we could think about.
Mm-hmm.
I am with the like a table, a sheet opened,
You mean the example of Etpash, like the code of reading the language?
Yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about the word Av, father.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In this code, we would have Tav Shin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tash.
Tash.
And
The one who exhausts.
it means something. Tash.
Tash is to opposite in shet. Shet is to establish, but tash it means to exhaust. To exhaust someone.
To finish.
Tash. To finish, to exhaust, to consume. Tashu kochotav, that he is exhausted. Tash. Tash. Because the 400 comes before the 300. So the matter comes before the spirit. This is what people are exhausted. Tash.
Yes.
Interesting.
Thank you.
There is another code. If you're interested in different codes, and this is also how Weinreb accessed the Bible, because there are many ways to penetrate the secret. One of them is named Ik Bachar. Ik Bachar. Please write the letters that I could explain. Ik Bachar means Aleph equals Yod equals Kof. Meaning, Aleph equals 1, but also equals Yod, because Yod has the value of 10. So it doesn't matter that the 10 is 1 and 0, it still testifies on the 1, on the origin. So Aleph, which is 1, equals to the Yod, which is 10, and equals to the Kof, which is 100. In this way, he approaches the word Kedem. Kedem, which means east in English. If we decode Kedem and we take the Kof as 1, so again, Kedem is 144, like Adam. Does it make any sense?
Yes, it.
Yes.
Yes.
And why do they call it Ik Bachar? Because the next triplets after Ik, Aleph Yod Kof, is Bet Chafresh, like Bechor. Bechor also stands the firstborn. Bet is 2, Kaf is 20. So 2 and 20 in similar, because they're like share the 2. And Resh is 200. Bachar, Bet Chafresh, 2, 20, 200. This is another code. And so on. It continues. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
This is so incredible, Eti. I always am amazed by it, because it's each time we think about it, it makes the study of tradition totally infinite. It's amazing how you will never exhaust it. You'll never finish it, because you can, you know uh, you take chapter 1 in Bereshit, you can make a whole life studying it, and it's so beautiful. I like to think this, because in nowadays we are anxious people. We are our generations are fulfilled with anxiety diseases, and because we think we can grasp everything, and we cannot we it's so many, it's so much information, and but when we study something that we are sure that it is infinite and soft, we do not get anxious, because every breath is a possibility to grasp the eternity. So we take the word bereshit, as our friend Jeff likes so much, and you can be all life looking at it, and it's okay. You will not have to find another books and another things to search or and these codes, they are so amazing for us that are not native in Hebrew. We can take one word and just play with it and in a way have fun and have insights, deep insights, with this joy of playing around with the letters. And that's it.
Yes,
Thank you once again. Thank you.
you're most welcome. This is the way to have, in a way, both peace and inspiration, because the the Hebrew or the code or the Torah, they deal with the essence, not with the fragments, because, like you say, in our generations, people are dealing with the leftovers. In the books, they call it the heels of the Messiah, meaning in former times, the souls that lived in the beginning they take the shape of humans' head, they take this image. That former generations were close to the Garden of Eden, so they were like in the head, in the around the head of man. And after comes another generations, they are like the shoulders, so to speak, of the man. And our generation is the last one, and the most how do you say, low, because we are at the heels, like Jacob is associated with a heel. He was holding his brother Esau's heel, a cave. So our generations consider to be Ikva de Mashiach, the heel, the last lower part of the foot of whole humanity. If we look at humanity as one bundle of life, our generation is the farthest from the origin, as far as the feet are far from the head. And this is why our generation, like, people have a lot of anxieties and a lot of information, but there is no connection, because sometimes information splits and splits. This is just an example, Felipe, to what you were saying. It's also written in the books that this is our generation. They see this, that it will come.
Eti,
Yes.
a lot of information in this class, and I know that it may sound a little chaotic, but as Felipe said about the importance of we get just one word and open the sky with this word,
Yes.
and open the heart. What I am thinking, it's, you said about the seeds that are going also to multiplicity, and last week we talked that zera, you said that ze and ra could be this is bad because it goes to the multiplicity, right? It goes to the a little seed it starts as a unity, but it goes to the multiplicity. And I am wondering it because from the seed we can get tree and fruits and everything. And from a good seed we get a good tree, and from a bad seed we get only bad things, But when the things are in the multiplicity, we cannot see the beginning usually. So my question is how can we search for the good seed. What I am saying is, how can we see the cause and not only the effect from our deeds and from the things that happen to us? Do you think about this? You have any idea?
Give you an example, just to reflect your question, but in a different dimension. A person goes to a bookstore and he thinks to himself that he is looking for a certain book on a certain shelf. This is what he thinks to himself. This is why people go to bookshop, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yes. But from the spirit point of view, it is the opposite. The book is looking for the man to read it. This is why the man finds himself in a bookshop. So not that the man found a book, but the book found the man. In other words, the spirit is looking for the man. We tend to think that we are initiators, providers, all those titles, but it is opposite. We are being activated, all of us, by a hidden power. Still, we have always the choice, yes, to listen or not to listen, to make a connection between things, to ignore maybe. But I hope that maybe I gave a different direction to your thoughts.
No, it's okay. It's amazing. Yes. It makes me remember that verse in Genesis that the sin light lies in the door. You know, it's waiting for the man. The sin. It's only open the door that the sin comes. We can think about the good and the bad in this way. So when we are making good deeds,
yes, only here we judge things as good and bad.
Yes.
Since we have two eyes and we judge things as good and bad. At the moment, I'm reading also another work by Israel Cohen about certain branch of Hasidism in Poland at the beginning of the 19th century, and they were already then claiming to pantheism. Everything is expression of divinity, and when everything is an expression of divinity, there is no good and bad. This is the way things should be manifested or come to us. It is a very, very deep topic. Maybe it's a topic for another conversation when everything is one divinity.
Amen.
And I think, and this is how Weinreb sees it as well. He always makes the connection between what we conceive or perceive as duality to the eternal. Because I would like to speak to you maybe also tomorrow about the holidays, not just as historical aspect, because we were taught that the holiday Passover and so is like a traditional holiday, historical holiday. Weinreb claims the opposite. Because spring is the manifestation of liberty of the eternal. Passover is celebrated in spring, and the ancient Romans used to go to a war season because the days are getting longer. So, and this is the first counting of kings. The kings used to count a year from spring. But this is a whole system of thinking. At the moment, we cannot go deeper into this, let's call it a calendar, what is the expression of the calendar, because the calendar expresses something very high, not just what we tend to think historical events. This is a deformation that uneducated people did through the course of time. It's a bias. By the way, just to your question, Fernando, Zera, as the people of the Zohar take it as Zera, this is bad, could be written in a different order, and the word Zera becomes Ezer. Ezer is assistant or
Yes.
help.
Yes.
So so we don't have enough time to go into those details, but maybe tomorrow we can speak about calendar and the holidays in general as a manifestation of the spirit, the eternal spirit, that unifies, that makes meetings with us during the holiday. So I hope this conversation was useful.
Yes, thank you so much, Eti. Thank you, friends.
You're welcome. Thank you all for coming.
Thank
We wish you a
you.
beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Felipe, Andre, Fernando. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you.